The Cold War tearing through the rap elite has officially reached a point of absolute, irreversible detonation, as Latto just occupied the hot seat at the Breakfast Club to finally validate the explosive reality the streets have been whispering about for weeks. Those lethal, razor-sharp lines slicing through her latest psychological anthem, Gimme Dad, extracted directly from her high-stakes sonic blueprint, Big Mama, are an unadulterated, direct ballistic strike aimed squarely at Cardi B. If your radar missed the systemic fallout, Cardi was operating in a state of pure, unhinged psychological warfare with Ice Spice, a volatile blood feud that had completely poisoned the industry landscape. Cardi B was so consumed by absolute rage that she was actively hunting for her adversary, mobilizing a high-stakes phone call to trace Ice Spice's coordinates, because the moment their paths crossed, it was going to be an immediate, physical elimination on sight. But in a catastrophic tactical error, while Cardi was unleashing that toxic verbal payload in the dark, she let her venom spill sideways, completely insulting and incinerating her supposed ally, Latto, in the collateral crossfire.
You don't know? I'ma show ya. I'm not Latto. I'ma beat her the fuck up. You think I'm fucking pussy ass Latto?
The very second that damning audio leak fractured the digital space, Cardi B instantly executed a panic-driven retreat to X, desperately attempting to construct a public shield and to escalate the crisis by offering a blank check apology to Latto. In a calculated move to buy back her loyalty, Cardi publicly vowed to purchase an ultra-exclusive designer bag as a synthetic token of her regret, but Latto completely rejected the corporate peace offering, weaponizing her silence to signal that some debts cannot be settled with a luxury handout. She effectively told her to keep the shallow currency because her integrity was never up for auction. Fast forward to the precise moment Latto's highly classified musical arsenal detonated across streaming platforms, where she deliberately lined up Cardi B in her crosshairs to execute a flawless lyrical assassination. She completely clocked the hypocrisy, chanting back that she already operates an entire Hermes storefront directly inside her own private closet, mocking the desperate illusion that Big Mama needs a hand-me-down from an adversary when her own team has been clearing out elite racks for years under independent structural wealth. She stood immovably on big bank assets and concrete facts, openly daring Cardi to step inside a physical recording booth to settle the score, even threatening to summon Plaqueboy Max to witness the final execution. Then, the moment Latto walked through the doors of the Breakfast Club to confirm she was hunting Cardi B, she unleashed a secondary, even more personal wave of psychological warfare. Interview number 2. Within a matter of mere hours after that devastating interview went live.
Yeah, it was about Cardi. I'm see all over the internet. I'm being called pussy. I'm pregnant, emotions high, like
hormonal.
Yeah, and it's someone I dead eyes looked at as a friend. Like I understand this, industry shit first too, but we was on a texting basis. So I feel like, yeah, you tweeted to the world, but we got each other number.
Yeah.
You know?
So I never talked personally after that, around that.
So then, like, probably like 2 months later or something like that, she did text me, but by that time, I'm like, that ain't even, like, I'm not even thinking about that shit. You know what I'm saying?
Have y'all spoken since then?
Since the song has
That was supposed to come out.
Would you be open to the conversation, or you just...
Yeah, I'm open to the conversation. In exchange for that, like, I don't know, it just left a bad taste in my mouth.
Cardi B scrambled to launch a massive counter-defense, completely doubling down on her public confession and offering a raw, psychological olive branch by declaring that she intimately processes the deep betrayal burning inside her former ally. She laid out the exact stakes, asserting that because her verbal execution was weaponized in the public square, her accountability had to be dragged directly into that very same spotlight. She claimed that the toxic labels slipping from her tongue on that compromised audio feed were never engineered to inflict real harm, pleading that a massive chasm exists between her unfiltered words and her actual internal intentions. She argued that what her subconscious was desperately trying to articulate was that her friend had simply extended far too much mercy and structural forgiveness to a hostile situation. But under the suffocating weight of a heated confrontation, she allowed her mouth to become an absolute weapon of self-destruction. She painted a vivid, high-stakes picture of her reality when that audio payload detonated, exposing that she was navigating the volatile final weeks of an 8-month pregnancy, while simultaneously suffocating under the chaotic commercial rollout of her own album, leaving her completely overwhelmed and emotionally
You
fractured.
don't know?
She
I'ma
made it
show ya. I'm
undeniably
not
clear
Latto.
that this
I'ma beat
psychological
her the
state
fuck
does
up.
not
You think I'm
function as an
fucking pussy ass
absolute
Latto?
legal defense for her verbal war crimes, but serves to expose the exact psychological wreckage of where her head was operating at that time. She maintained that a profound, authentic guilt has been eating away at her soul regarding the toxic fallout that transpired across the timeline of Varsh 2025 and 2026, forcing her to execute multiple desperate operations to establish contact behind closed doors. She desperately breached her perimeter to speak directly with her manager, intercepted her biological sister, and launched relentless, direct transmissions into her personal line to salvage the bond. She explicitly accepted full structural responsibility for the damage, vowing that her baseline foundation for her peer has always been anchored in pure love and creative respect. She claimed her absolute objective was always to architect a path to peace, but accepted that the blueprint for structural reconciliation looks radically different for both of us now. She desperately wanted a face-to-face intervention in the physical world, but her adversary chose instead to permanently freeze the trauma into a multi-platinum musical weapon on her latest album. Yet, independent industry analysts argue it displays a stunning level of psychological maturity for a global titan like Cardi B to continuously sit in her own wrongdoings and relentlessly fight to repair a burning bridge. Perhaps, across some distant, unwritten timeline, Latto might finally find the emotional space to heal this severed bond with Cardi B, but there is a 0% chance that resolution materializes anytime soon. Mirroring the exact analytical breakdown from the previous transmission, the public completely validates the ironclad emotional fortress Latto has erected, because if two elite operators are locked in a daily, high-vibrational text message matrix, where one is actively racing against time in a recording studio to deliver a high-yield feature verse for your global project because she considers you her absolute girl, the math simply crashes. To walk directly out of a collaborative studio session after bleeding your soul into a verse, only to hear that very same individual incinerating your name behind closed doors on a recorded line, creates a permanent psychological scar. That is an absolute, structural execution of trust. It leaves you permanently paranoid, unable to decode whether their love was ever authentic, or if you were simply navigating a calculated industry illusion. Ultimately, the consensus completely aligns with Latto on a deep, fundamental level, refusing to cast a single shred of blame on her defensive stance. As previously established on the record, it might require a massive passage of time, perhaps decades down the line, before Latto can psychologically process the trauma and extend absolute absolution. But she is fundamentally incapable of offering any form of cheap forgiveness in this current climate. Meanwhile, Cardi B has officially re-entered her creative sanctuary, locking herself back inside the recording booth as her highly anticipated studio album gears up for a high-stakes deployment slated for the final months of this year. Predictably, whispers have been aggressively circulating through the industry underbelly suggesting that Cardi B is planning to orchestrate a series of lethal, retaliatory disses and subliminal strikes against Latto as a direct response to the lyrical landmines planted on her project. However, the true strategic trajectory will likely subvert expectations. While Cardi B will almost certainly address the Latto situation on the upcoming track list, it will not manifest as the standard, toxic warfare the masses are anticipating. Instead, the blueprint points to a continuation of her radical public humility, where she will potentially pour out her absolute heart and strip away her ego to litigate this tragic fallout through raw, vulnerable artistry once more. But now, the narrative lens shifts entirely to the audience. Is Latto completely justified in standing immovably within her emotional fortress, or has the time arrived for her to dismantle the perimeter and grant Cardi B a path to redemption? The digital comment sections are actively transforming into a psychological battleground as the culture debates these exact stakes. The broadcast has reached its absolute terminal point. The transmission is officially offline until the next revelation fractures the matrix.
Trying to make things right, stating how you try to make things right, but still leaving the conversation open-ended on the, you want to address it on your album. That's how you do an apology. And not really even just an apology, just how you address something. She said, yeah, I got too ahead of myself and I should have done this. I wish I would have done this because this is what I really meant. Not what I said in the moment, because that's not where I was. And I will take accountability for that. Humility, by not coming on and popping her shit, knowing what she did was wrong. And just flat out saying, I wish we could have reconnected. Because I miss you, friend. That's how you do an apology. Yes, ma'am.
Cardi B apologizing to Latto is not a surprise. Cardi B just seems like one of those people. She's very genuine, right? And she's one of those people that seemingly, like, if she does something wrong and she apologizes for it, she apologizes genuine. However, Latto don't have to accept her apology. Latto said, you know, it took her 2 months, I believe, to even call her or text her, like, personally to apologize. So Latto don't have to forgive the apology. But, you know, Cardi B apologizing is a very, very big thing. A lot of people, y'all would be surprised, people don't know how to apologize. People don't know how to apologize, and if they do, some people never are genuine. They only apologizing to save their ass on some shit, and I don't think that's what Cardi B was coming from. But as Latto have a right to not accept that apology. Just because you apologize to somebody don't mean that person have to accept it. So at the end of the day, they both are successful women. They, you know, have their own individual fan bases, and, you know, people do be biased in situations like this. You got the people on Latto's side that's like, oh, well, I'm happy she didn't, you know, accept her apology because blah, blah, blah. Or you got the people on Cardi's side that's like, well, at least she did apologize. You should forgive her, blah, blah, blah. They probably wasn't even real friends. They probably was just industry friends with a mutual respect and love for each other. But nevertheless, it was a really good interview. Shout out to the Breakfast Club.